Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to a very special edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Brian, the day has come. The day has come.
Yes, sir.
It is time to talk the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam. And boy, there's a lot. There's a lot to go over.
There was, man.
Absolutely. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot to discuss in this review. A lot was said in last week's roundtable. Once again, shout out to every one of those people who were in that roundtable. But today is the full PLE review. There is a match card to go over. There's a lot of big moments to go over. I will be doing the addition of the good, the bad, and the ugly for this said review. I will go over the rules once we dive into this review show. However, before we do such, we have a very special guest for this said review show. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to introduce to you, she is a Ohio native. In the spirit of SummerSlam being in Ohio last night, we have an Ohio native joining the show. She is another beloved content creator. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Leah. Leah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, James and Brian, for having me again. It's so nice to be here. As James said, I am a content creator and I've been watching wrestling my whole life. I could probably blink and see a wrestling image in my head. But you can follow me on socials, TikTok, Instagram at WrestleLeah. And I'm just really excited to be here.
Awesome. I love it.
Great. Really. Yeah. Love, we love having guests, man, and welcome. And just love to have you on and thanks for being a part of it as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you, Leah, for joining us. And you can once again check out Leah and everything else. All of her social medias will be in the description box down below to check out her stuff, check out her social medias, and give her a follow. She's a great person and a good content creator, so make sure you check her out. All of that in the description down below, as well as, of course, make sure you guys follow us on on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are well now over 200 subscribers on YouTube, so make sure you spread the word, hit that notification bell, and hit that subscribe button, and follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and become a part of this beloved community. Now, it is time to dive into this show, this review show. So for me, once again, I will be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly tallies. So the way that this is going to go is that for each match, I will be giving at least one tally. For every tally that goes into the ugly column, that is going to be crossed off and turned into two bads once we dive into, or I do my final tallies for this review. And it's pretty simple. Whoever has the most tallies in each section will determine whether this show was a good or a bad PLE. Without further ado, y'all, let's dive straight into this. There's a lot to go over, and let's dive straight into this first matchup. Our first matchup of this card was for the Women's World Championship. You have your champion, Liv Morgan, versus challenger Mommy, a.k.a. Rhea Ripley. So a lot of cat and mouse to start off this matchup, as you kind of expected. You know, Liv Morgan playing the chicken shit type of freaking heel here. So you knew that they were kind of go that route. Rhea's shoulder, she plays her shoulder injury in this match. She tries to pop it back into place twice, not once, but twice in this match. She legit rammed her shoulder into the announce table, and she did it later on in the matchup. I believe it was against the turnbuckle. Yes, the turnbuckle, the top turnbuckle. So they went to the shoulder entry. You know, of course, Rhea Ripley was gaining the upper hand. So that was a way for Liv Morgan to, gain the upper hand onto the match, which was targeting the shoulder. Like she was yelling, like, oh, it's out, it's out. So, and much love to Rhea because she really sold the hell out of that freaking shoulder.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So yeah, much love to her for that. Later on in the match, so freaking Liv Morgan, again, now it's going back and forth. Now, of course, you have Dominic at ringside. We'll get to a lot about Dominic later on, of course. But Liv Morgan grabs a steel chair. She grabs a steel chair to try to, use it to somewhat of an advantage, right? Rhea Ripley ends up hitting a riptide, And now Rhea's freaking pissed. Like, she's already got her shoulder ripped out of her socket twice. Now she just wants to hurt Liv Morgan. She goes to use the steel chair, and Dominic actually stops Rhea from using the chair. It's like, what are you doing? You can't win the title this way. Liv hits Rhea and also escorts Dominic off the apron. That same chair would be in the ring. Dominic would get back up and distract the ref. Liv Morgan hits an Oblivion onto the steel chair and goes for the cover for the 1, the 2, and the 3, and Liv Morgan retains her championship due to Dominic Mysterio. At first, you were like, wait, is that a turn? Was it not? Did he mean to do that? Did he not? Well, afterwards, it pretty much said everything you needed to know. She helps Liv Morgan up, turns her around, and gives her this voluptuous kiss like two horny freaking teenagers on a Saturday night. And yeah, and the face on Rhea Ripley's face just says it all. She's in distraught. Her heart is freaking in freaking pieces. And Liv and Dom freaking hightail it up the rampway. And that is your match, and that is your segment. Brian, the floor is yours, man. I got a lot to say, but I'm going to have you start this off. Your thoughts about this opening match between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
Man, I mean, I really like the match. You know, even in the beginning, you know, you could say like the cat and mouse, maybe it went a little too long, but I was fine with it. I mean, it's
right.
You know, that's kind of splitting hairs, but I mean, I love the match. You know, I think we all knew, or I think most of us knew Dom was going to be signed with Liv here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just, I loved it. I just, did you guys notice? I don't know, man. The reaction that Liv had was almost like she didn't even really know, like she wasn't in on it, you know, initially. Did y'all feel that, or maybe it was just me? I don't know.
No, she kind of gave like that shocking, like, oh my God, like you're actually helping me. Like I thought that you were, like you couldn't stand me after what he said. Freaking no, unless she's trying to maybe act dumb, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, but other than that, man, I mean, yeah, this is what we all expected in some form or fashion, man. And yeah, I got to give a shout out to Liv there. Like, if you like the levels of the different emotions you can just read in her face in that moment, like I mean, it was the anger, it was the pain, it was the match she had just went through, and just it's still building up that, man, like whenever she does really get her moment against Dom and Liv, man, I mean, she's gonna freaking kill him, dude. So yeah, I mean, it kind of played out like I thought it was. So yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it, man. I did.
Nice. Lee, I'll send it over to you. Your thoughts, your takes on this match. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I loved it too. Just looking at the different body builds they have, I was wondering how they would kind of like even the odds, and the shoulder was a good play on that. I did think the cat and mouse was just a little too long, like Brian was saying, but it was really entertaining to see all of that play out. And I really figured, I had a feeling that Liv would win. I didn't know how completely, but pretty much was thinking like, okay, Dom's obviously going to have something to do with it, because in my head, I was like, if Rhea were to win, it will probably just dead end the storyline in a way. So how can they elongate that and keep that ball rolling? And I just thought having him show his true colors, if you will, that was a good play. So you can kind of see the Judgment Day kind of like being picked apart. So him having a career and wouldn't really make that much sense. But overall, I thought it was really good how they played everything out. It was a good match.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said. This was and also I liked how they started off the show. I mean, I don't think there's any other match that you could have started off the night than with these two ladies. So I thought the selection of who starts the night off to really get the pay-per-view rolling, and the way that it did end up turning out was definitely a very good business decision by Triple H and other suits and ties for sure. So yeah, I mean, listen, going down to the cat and mouse game, I can hear it in regards to maybe it being a little too long, maybe that dragged out a little too much. I really honestly didn't mind it, because again, it's more of like the storytelling aspect in regards to Liv pretty much being kind of really almost afraid, frickin' she was at the frickin' the media scrum or the press conference, and she showed up there minutes early because she didn't want to confront Rhea, being on the Titantron, not wanting to confront Rhea. So it kind of made sense to kind of draw that out a little bit. And like Leah said, like the whole shoulder injury, you kind of had a feeling that that was going to be the main focal point and how Liv gains the upper hand in this match. But listen, when it comes to PLEs, guys, the one thing, we've seen great matches, right? We've seen bangers, we've seen this, we've seen that from so many content creators. But what this was a moment and a memory that you're going to remember, regardless if people like it or dislike it. That's one person's perspective, but you're going to remember this for a very long time. You're going to remember Rhea's expression and how devastated she looked. You're going to remember the kiss between Liv and Dom. You're going to remember how this match ended in regards to it. Just the moments in this match and how both of these ladies, as well as Dominic, just played the roles very well. And it was just, everything was done very well. Obviously, Liv Morgan had to win this match because we know that this is going to continue to draw out. There was no way Rhea could take this title that quickly, because if she did, then what else does she need to do? There's nothing else to really go after, if that makes sense. She did what she needed to do, which was beat Liv. Here's my one nitpick that I have. And Triple H honestly has this problem a lot when it comes to face turns, heel turns, whatever the case may be. And that was the turn itself from Dom. We didn't really know definitively if that was a really like a true turn, to where maybe it was an accident by despite, or it was a distraction by accident, to where maybe it gets played out more on Monday Night Raw, to where, was it a turn? Was it not? Are they going to tell it more on Raw? But you saw the smirk and did he actually turn? Did he not? So there was a lot of confusion. But then, of course, obviously the kiss was the freaking cherry on top. But that's the thing when I say the cherry on top, to where I wish the turn itself was a lot more amplified and less confusing, if that makes sense. Well, even like the crowd, if you go, I always watch the crowd all the time in regards to these moments. And there was a majority of people that were like, oh, was that a turn? Was it not? Like, what happened? What's going on? Yeah. So that whole thing with Triple H, me and Brian have spoken about it too. Like with Otis and Gable, it's just like the way you've built up that turn and the animosity between those two. And then all we got was a little shove. It was a good pop. And now it was like very anticlimactic. Like that was it. Right. And so that's my one little nitpick. But outside of that, it doesn't take away from how really good this matchup was and how this started the night off. So I'm going to reveal my tally. Match number 1, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, goes into the good column. Really good.
Yeah, I'd agree. For sure.
Absolutely. Backstage, freaking Priest is like freaking livid. This dude is throwing chairs. This dude's throwing freaking tables. Freaking, he's in the face of Balor. Like, did you know about this? And Balor's like, of course I didn't know. Like, you're really going to ask me that? Really? So freaking Damian Priest is like on fumes in regards to who did it. And then later on the night before the match, it's like, hey, sorry, got heated in there. I got heated, my fault. It was like of course, that little exchange to where, hey, if you need my help, I got your back, blah, blah, blah. So that was that whole exchange there. So I like those little interactions before all of this played out in regards to it. So let's dive to the other side of the Judgment Day, as there is going to be another big implosion as we go along with this. So we go into Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, obviously, Brian, me and you have both been very skeptical about this match, or at least going into it. But dare I say, man, this was also a damn solid, really good matchup. Both, again, we had a feeling that, especially for Damian Priest, and that's unfortunate with the whole botch from Money in the Bank and how just freaking god-awful that was. Again, not much just to Damian Priest, but also just the booking of having the ref legit stop his counts. I've never seen that before in my life. But it was rectified. At least the image of Priest was rectified from this matchup. And of course, much props to Gunther as well. So Priest hits the South of Heaven chokeslam. And this was very interesting. And Brian, I don't know if you saw this, to where obviously they're setting the spot up for Finn Balor, right? Mm-hmm. And you're seeing that Priest is rolling Gunther towards the ropes. And like, realistically, you're thinking, why would he roll him towards the ropes? Wouldn't he want to roll him further away from the ropes? But then, it was he was trying to get Gunther in that position. So I don't know if it was Gunther's fault for not being in position, but that exchange at least was kind of very just weird, at least in that regard. But Priest goes for the cover, 1, 2, and then Finn Balor places Gunther's foot on the rope. He's got like a hood over his head. So once again, he didn't know who it was, but in another world, you knew who the frick it was. It was Finn Balor. And Damian Priest, he turns around. He was watching it from the replay on a separate Titantron. And this dude is just freaking living. And he goes straight after freaking Balor. Gunther puts him in a sleeper hold, in a chokehold. And guys, I love this look. I love this scene. Like freaking Balor has this snarled look on his face, and he's watching Priest slowly like freaking pass out. I freaking loved it. Like freaking and somehow freaking Priest is getting out of this sleeper hold. And now Priest has 2 options now. So he gets out of this hold. He's pretty much on E. This dude, it's like, it's like there's nobody, like the lights are on, but nobody's home at this point. This dude's running on fumes. And instead of going after Gunther, he knows he's kind of pretty much fucked. Let's just say that. And he goes straight after Finn Balor instead. And that's what ends up costing Damian Priest. Freaking Gunther hits the Gunther bomb, puts him back in the sleeper hold. Once again, Finn Balor looking at freaking Damian Priest in the sleeper hold. And at that time, ain't no way freaking Damian Priest is getting up after that. He passes out, and Gunther becomes your new world heavyweight champion. Man, listen, I was very critical about this going into it, right? I mean, for justified reasons, but the way that, once again, man, the facial expressions and the moments that were made from those facial expressions and the little hidden details that are not so minor, and again, how memorable this was just so freaking good, man. Was so freaking good. And the Judgment Day has officially pretty much imploded, and we'll get more into that later. But Leah, I'll have you start. Your thoughts about this match between Damian Priest and Gunther becoming the new world champion.
Yeah, the storytelling is just amazing. I absolutely love long-term, short-term, just any storytelling that truly adds up and is kind of full circle. And so I thought the match was really well executed. The chops were crazy. Gunther's chest, I mean, like those really hurt. And you can just see all of that. The blood was like, oh my goodness, which is kind of full circle in itself because Gunther loves to chop people. But anyway, I thought the match was very well executed. You did mention the placement of that spot with the rolling. I thought that was a bit odd too, but I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I did peep that too. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was very like I was on the edge of my seat towards the end. Like, what's going to happen now? We know it's Finn. Like, how are they going to sum this up? But yeah, I thought it also made sense because you can kind of, in a way, see some tension between Priest and Finn in different segments. So it was interesting to see that. And I always thought Finn had so much more to offer. I don't want to say they're downplaying him by booking him with Judgment Day, but just his whole character and gimmick before then was just amazing to me, and I would love to see more from him. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. But overall, I enjoyed the match. It was really good.
Great take. Very nice. Brian,
yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts, man? Gunther and Priest, floor is yours.
Man, I agree with both of you. I thought the match was really good, man. And yeah, the ending, man, the you guys are right. The storytelling and just in the facials, man. Like when Priest, went after Balor that final time and had him by the throat. I mean, again, it's one of those things. Whenever he finally does, they have that first matchup. Like, that's gonna be freaking awesome, man. I thought it was a really good way for Priest to go out, where he took 2 chokehold submissions, and he did something else in between there too. In between those chokeholds, I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but either way, it made Priest look strong, and that's also a practical, realistic, perfect way for Gunther, to win the title is to choke somebody out. So yeah, man, I thought all the way around it worked really, really good, man. Other than that one little spot you're talking about, which was just like, I guess maybe they were just off by like a foot or two, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great match, good storytelling, man, and yeah, new champion Gunther.
Yeah. And we've said it too, Brian, like with Gunther, like ain't no way in hell he couldn't have lost this match with the whole King of the Ring. It
Yeah,
would have made absolutely just what like then what was the whole point of King of the Ring, especially the way they announced it, right? It's like they
right.
didn't even announce it before the tournament even started. They announced it the finals
The
of the tournament.
final, yeah,
Triple H. Oh, yeah, we're the winner gets a title shot at SummerSlam. What the
right.
hell? And the person just loses. That would just be very odd. So look, and we talk about Priest, right? Listen, much love to Priest, and a lot of
Absolutely,
people,
man.
especially
For
in
sure.
that locker room, adore Damian Priest and just the person itself. And I think that that's why a lot of times I'm very, critical about Damian Priest in regards to not his talent, but it's the timing of how he's gotten this world title and the briefcase and everything else, to where we talk about him transitioning into a face, and we're like, okay, what moment is truly going to make Damian Priest a definitive face that's going to get him over, right? That's
Mhm.
going to make him legit, possibly the top baby face on Monday Night Raw, right? Because Roman Reigns is going to be on SmackDown. You got Cody Rhodes over on SmackDown unless something changes, right? But this is what I mean, Brian, about Damian Priest needs to be away from the title, or he at least didn't need the title straight up, because this is a feud now with Finn Balor that he can jump into, as well as the rest of the Judgment Day,
Yeah,
that could really dive into a deep connection with Priest, because you feel for Damian Priest somehow, not just, and also from Rhea Ripley's end, it's going to do wonders for Rhea Ripley and her baby face once she gets her cultivating moment. But
Mhm.
that's what I mean, man. We haven't gotten that from Priest. It's like we're transitioning this dude into a face. We're giving him this title already, but he hasn't developed that strong connection, even as a heel. But this man was really, just really good. And and listen, if they want to push Damian Priest, cool, by all means. But if you're going to push him face, these are the moments that you do it, especially as a baby face. And like you said, Brian, again, and I said it earlier, like the facial expressions, the moments, again, a
Yeah,
match that was very memorable, right? You're going to remember these moments. This is not just another match where it's just like, up, freaking, like fireworks going off, like a Ricochet doing a freaking flip over the rope. Oh, cool. There's a flip over the rope. And yeah, we don't remember it for the next freaking 30 days, right? It's one of those things to where you appreciate the moments, regardless if you like it or not, you're going to remember it. And for SummerSlam, this is the big pay-per-view. This is where you do it at, like I mentioned, with Rhea and Liv Morgan. So with that being said, Damian Priest and Gunther, I mean, what else column would it go to? It's going to
yeah,
go into the good
absolutely.
column for sure. So, but who knows? And I guess you're most likely, I guess JD McDonough is going to align with Finn because, I mean, he's his buddy as well. He's the tag champion with Finn. And then you have poor Carlito.
Yeah, right.
Freaking Carlito. I'm sure this is probably what they'll do. And Brian, I'd love to get your take about it, to where it seems like, I mean, obviously now the Judgment Day is split. Like they're done. The Judgment Day is no more.
Oh,
And
yeah,
now I guess
yeah.
it's going to be some type of like NWO type of crosshairs, to where you got pretty much a split where it's pretty much Finn, Dom, Liv, and I guess with JD. And then you have Damian, Rhea, and possibly Carlito, because I mean,
Yeah,
people
right.
adore Carlito. People think he's funny as shit. You might as well just put him over with the baby faces,
Sure.
right? And then I guess you would maybe add another person, I guess a Jey Uso, I guess, until he goes over to the Bloodline story, and who knows when he gets transitioned over to that. But
Let me talk about the ending of both matches. I think, and you were talking about, getting them over, especially Priest as a face. I think last night did wonders. The way it was, the way Priest went after Balor, like I think Monday night when he comes out there on Monday Night Raw, he's going to get a pretty huge pop. And I mean, I guess the ball's in his court, going, from this moment forward. But I just think the way everybody executed that, and even with Rhea, just the facial expression she had, like it really is going to go a long way in getting that sympathy face, played up. And yeah, as far as the split, yeah, I mean, I anticipate JD, aligning with Finn. you know, at first I was a little surprised that at some point in the night, you know, there wasn't some cultivating moment between like a Finn and a Dom and a Liv or something. But then, you know, the more I thought about it, they got to have something big for Monday night, and that's going to be what it is. You know, primarily is going to be this story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, I don't know who else would join them. And it's interesting, you know, and I'll pose this question to both of you guys too, like, because you know you're gonna get the mixed tag with Dom and Liv. Do you think it's gonna be Jey Uso and Rhea, or do you think it's gonna be Damian and Rhea?
Go ahead, Leah. I'll let you start with that.
That's you both made really good points. Wow, like the whole split. I'm just overall interested to see where they go with this, and I hope they executed very well. There's so much you can do with it, but I don't know. I feel like Jay's kind of just. I don't want to say he's kind of just there, but I feel like Damian teaming would make maybe a little bit more sense. They kind of just tossed Jay in there with that whole scene of him being like, "Hey, like, as I heard Rhea single," like before
Right.
to see his connection. So I'm hoping maybe Damian, and I'm so excited for him. Like you said, James, he's very appreciated backstage. I would hope that the fans, this is a good opportunity at least to have the fans appreciate him more. The whole timing of him winning that title was a little off for me, but I wasn't against it. I wanted to see what he can do with it, and I don't think he did horrible, but I feel like there was so much more potential for him. So I do hope this is like a chance for him to fully be appreciated more as a face or whatever. He's not going to be a heel, obviously, but just to be appreciated more overall by the fans. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See what they do. I don't know.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Brian, I mean, they could go multiple. I think you're going to see pretty much all the above. I think you're going to see Jay and Rhea. I think you're going to see Rhea and Damian. I think you're going to see 6-man tags or mixed tag matches, 6-person tag matches. Yeah. You'll see probably. Dom, Finn, and Liv against Jay, Rhea, and Damian Priest. You're going to probably see all of it because I just know Triple H. I know this company, and they love to just shove tag matches and redundancy down your throat. So that's at least my expectations. Again, I want to be hopeful, and maybe it's somewhat different. But that's probably what you'll most likely get. You'll get Jay, you'll get Rhea, you'll get that whole little romance type of spiel now that freaking Dom is with Liv. But
like I would hope, like, I mean, I get it, I get where they're going, but you know, kind of like to what Leah was saying, like Jay's got to get back into that bloodline story. Like, it's, you know, it was kind of cute in the moment or whatever, but yeah, this should be Damian and Rhea mostly, you know, because it's the freaking Judgment Day. And you know, we'll get into it later, but you know, bloodline's heating up, baby.
Yeah. Oh man, we got just more and more members definitely joining that freaking group. You got Zilla Fatu, freaking your neighbor across the street. Freaking who the hell knows? So we'll get to the bloodline, of course, later on. But listen, Judgment Day as a whole, both matches, freaking well done. Sure. I mean, honestly, I mean, you guys know who listen to this podcast that I'm very straightforward and honest, and I'm being straightforward and honest when I say that, you know, the Judgment Day and their collective matchups did exactly what they needed to do. So very good stuff from both of those matches involving the Judgment Day. And of course, me and Brian will talk a lot more to see how it all unfolds. Now let's go over to the next matchup. The next matchup is for the Intercontinental Championship. This was Braun Breaker, your challenger, versus champion Sami Zayn. This was pretty much as close of a squash match as you probably could get, as this match was under 6 minutes in length. Sami Zayn hits his suplex from the turnbuckles, the exploder suplex from the turnbuckles. Braun Breaker spears Sami Zayn out of his freaking boots. He does another one for good measures with the strap down. And Braun Breaker becomes your new Intercontinental Champion. Oh man. So look, I'll start, and then Lee, I'll have you go afterwards once I'm done with this. But listen, obviously they had to make this decision and have Braun Breaker win this championship, right? And it was very interesting in how they had Braun Breaker lose the first time, right? I mean, obviously Sami Zayn was not losing in Canada, right? We understand that picture. But Braun lost that very, very simplistically, and it was very anticlimactic. So you would think, right, that like you would have to book Braun Breaker to this manner. So Braun Breaker being booked like a beast is totally fine with me, right? Braun Breaker has been tremendous. Should he be holding on to this title? It's very debatable, honestly. Shout out to Christy, who was a part of our roundtable. She stated that Braun Breaker's not ready to hold on to this championship, and there's a great conversation to be had about that. But the problem I have, guys, is this. Sami Zayn won this IC title from Gunther. The same man who hold on to this IC title for 600 plus days. Think about that. And the way that this man's title reign ends is by losing this match in under 6 minutes. Come on. I mean, we can't, like, that's what I mean, man, about this IC title. Like, that's how Sami Zayn loses after beating a monster. And like, he can defeat Gunther, who's built like a monster, but he can't beat an up-and-comer like Braun Breaker. I get it. They're building up Braun Breaker like a beast, but he's still very new to the main roster. And Sami Zayn's been up in the likes of Roman Reigns and many other main event caliber stars. And Braun Breaker loses and Braun Breaker beats you in under 6 minutes. Man. I mean, so I have to do this, guys, because it just leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. The match was the match. I mean, we kind of expected this was the route they were going to go, that Braun was going to win this title. Again, they had no choice to, because Braun's been put in this situation. So you can't derail his momentum. So I understand that. But I just don't like how Sami Zayn was done dirty and losing this Intercontinental Championship. It just doesn't sit right with me after dethroning Gunther, one of the longest reigning Intercontinental Championships, and he nearly gets squashed in this match. So this has nothing to do with Breaker, has nothing to do with Braun Breaker. Much love to him, but it's the creative booking for Sami Zayn and how he lost this title. And for that, that's bad. I'm sorry, but that's really bad.
Fair enough.
Leah, your thoughts in regards to Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn in this IC title match?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like that the length of the match was definitely a bit of an overkill, especially like you said, Sami, just all of his accolades. I feel like they could have done more with that match. I agree with that completely. For me, like Chrissy said, I agree with that also. I don't necessarily think he's fully ready for that. For me, at least, when it comes to Braun's promos, I feel like I have to convince myself like that much more that I believe him. And I saw him talking after, I forget the name of the segment where it was Big E and they were interviewing Braun. I forget, Wade Barrett was there. What is that called right after the match? Right after the whole event. You know what I mean? Like the after.
I know what I don't know the name.
Oh, I guess the post show or like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing Braun just like casually talk, I'm like, that's how I feel when you're giving a promo. Like, okay, I believe that. So I feel like he can do more with his promos, make it more believable, I guess, for me. But I'm not against Braun in any way. I really like him. I love the Frankensteiner. It's always so fun for me to watch. But,
I do like the Frankensteiner, yeah.
But he's an incredible athlete, but definitely was overkill with how they did Sami with the whole ending of the match, for sure.
Yeah. Brian, what are your takes, man? The floor is yours.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I'm being honest, this was for me like kind of I'm not even that it was a low point, but as far as the whole card, I mean, this was the least I was invested in. Really, if I'm being honest, man, like I think with the WWE are in a position with the IC title specifically, like, again, I agree with Chrissy. Like, I don't necessarily think Braun is ready, although he's going to be a star, no doubt. You could argue he already is, but I look overall, like on Raw, like I don't know that there's anybody right now that like could win the IC title or go after it right now that I'd be like, oh shit, that could be really good. It's just like that it's a state of flux where like you can kind of almost put it on any or a few different people at this point, and and not really make a difference. I think they're ready to pull the trigger on Braun. So they say, okay, here's your shot, and we'll see what he does, between now and say the Rumble or something. Because I mean, I would imagine he's going to hold on to it to at least then. I mean, he can't. There's no way he could lose it in 2 months unless I don't know, he gets suspended. AEW, no, I'm not going there. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I love Sammy. I mean, Braun, I like him. I love the Steiners from back in the day. So we'll see how it goes, man. But I do think it's a little early. But I just don't really know if there's anybody that's really going to make the IC title interesting right now.
Yeah.
And let me say this about the Frankensteiner. And I know, James, what area you come from. I'm not sure about you, Leah, but am I right in hearing that Michael Cole for the past couple weeks and maybe even McAfee, like they're saying they coined the phrase Frankensteiner? Like, bro, that's been around, homie.
That's been right. I was gonna say, right, yeah.
And they're kind of like leaning into it, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that. I think at one point I was thinking the same thing. It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah.
No,
that's
that's
very odd.
You got to go back to like 90, 91, 92. Like,
that's right. Right. So, yeah, I mean, and great takes from both of you guys. In regards to Braun, right? Listen, again, I have no issue with Braun. I think when it comes to NXT, right? The dude should have been on the main roster by now. I think he's overstated his welcome for a very long time. The dude was just there in NXT. He was in a tag team with Baron Corbin in some comedic shtick. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing with Braun Breaker over the past several months? Mm-hmm. So again, listen, if you want to push Braun Breaker, that's fine. I think the dude is, it's just I know people are like, giving out the whole Goldberg type of vibes, right? With the spear and his amplification, right? And that's, I don't know.
Even right now, I think he's got more athletic ability, more talent, more natural wrestling acumen.
I think it's a little unfair to do the whole already the Goldberg comparison in regards to, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, look, and the thing is with Braun Breaker too, Leah, you mentioned, regarding his promos, right? And the thing is with Braun Breaker, and I hope that they just book him very simplistically, right? Because that's how you need to book Braun Breaker in this situation. Have him cut these 1 to 2 liners. This dude doesn't need to cut soliloquy of promos. This dude needs to not be going out there cutting promos like an LA Knight or a Cody Rhodes or he doesn't need to do that. You play to his strengths and you hide his weaknesses, right? There was a promo that he did cut on Sami Zayn. I think it was just the go home show to SummerSlam just last week. And it was the best I've heard Braun Breaker like cut a promo. And it wasn't really that long. So that's what I mean, man. Just like showcase Braun in his strengths. You don't need to make him be something that he's not, right? And like they did the same thing with people like Ronda Rousey and Bobby Lashley, how they would cut soliloquy of promos. I'm like, that's not the strength of their character. And then all you're doing is exposing these people. So, right. Yeah. So I hope that they don't go the route with Braun Breaker. And I hear where you're coming from too, Brian, because like when you look at the mid card, and you can say the same thing about the United States Championship, and this is why I give Triple H such a hard time. It's just like, I'll just use the United States title as an example, right? You got Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. What the fuck are they doing? They're just trading wins and losses. Melo says he doesn't miss. All he does is miss. The dude is Draymond Green from the 3-point line. The dude can't fucking make anything. And then you have Andrade. Much love to the dude, but nobody.
I was so excited when he came back, man. He changed his look. And if you remember that first time he came back with that freaking like the skull headdress on thing, I mean, and nothing.
Yeah. So like that's your mid card. You have Andrade, you got Carmelo, you got maybe, I guess, if you want to throw a Grayson Waller or an Austin Theory, but they're kind of fussling around the tag division right now. So like, what's your mid card? You're just gonna have, I guess, more rematches with Sami Zayn, and what's that truly doing for Sami Zayn?
I don't know. Yeah, I wanna. What are your guys' thoughts about Sami? Like what he does, now? I mean. I can't.
mean,
I don't think he should get involved with the bloodline. I've spoken about that. How I feel it should just be the bloodline. But
right. I think it's possible they do that though, because just the
I
history
know. I
alone.
know. Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think he should, but I think that's because of the history with Jay and Roman itself. I think that's probably what they will do. Or
Like, I
they
wouldn't
could
mind it, like, if he came to the aid a couple times, but I don't think he should be like really a centerpiece of the story.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I got some more to say about that in regards to the bloodline. But yeah, with Sammy, and the thing is with Sammy too, it's just like the title reign has been not great or good, but it's been decent. He's actually racked up a lot of big victories in this title reign, and he's been doing a lot better, at least from what he's doing, than fussling with Kevin Owens in an irrelevant tag division. He's picking up victories over Gunther and Braun, and now Sami Zayn actually feels like an actual freaking competitor and not just some guy that's
Like
just
a
a spoke
sidekick,
on the
kinda.
wheel.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Not just fussling with Kevin Owens and fighting the Judgment Day 10,000 times and just being there, like just under the radar. You can kind of still say the same thing because this dude fought Roman not too long ago and he was legit white hot going into Elimination Chamber when they were in Canada, right? And now he's kind of just once again back at that mid-card tier. So I don't know. For a long time, Sami Zayn's booking has been very up and down. So I don't know. I just feel bad for the dude, Brian, because I know people were up in arms about whether Zayn was the person to dethrone Gunther, right? People said it should have been
I still think
Chad
that was a
Gable.
good call.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. I mean, and the way the match went, I thought it was totally fine. And now I'm like, okay, now and they were doing it very well. He was picking up big victories with this Intercontinental Championship with Chad Gable and others. And the way that he just loses this match after what Sami Zayn has been through with Roman, with frickin' Kevin Owens, everything in NXT, and it's this new up-and-comer named Braun Breaker, and he beats him in 5 minutes. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It just really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I get it. They had to do it because Braun legit lost pretty much simplistically and clean. So they had to amplify Braun Breaker a bit. But if you really think about, wow, like this same dude that beat Gunther just lost like that. I don't know. It's a bad taste in my mouth, man. Much love to Breaker, but we could have done a lot more for Sami Zayn. But
what do you think, Leah? What do you think? Where does Sammy go? What do you see him like fitting in anywhere right now? Or
I don't. There's so much talent, so many different. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea because he's in his own. He reminds me of someone that can just literally not get in where he can fit in, but he can just be everybody. He's so versatile. So I genuinely don't know. That's how good he is, though. So what James said, that's literally how good he is, and why squash him like that. He can kind of go anywhere and make it better, if you ask me, or add to it at least. So because of that, I don't know where he would go from here.
He is one of those guys. He's like a utility player. Like, I mean, I don't know where he's gonna go, but there's a few places where, like, I mean, he could slide in there, and I mean, shit, he's still, if they want to pick up like something between well, never mind. Let's move on. We can go down the rabbit hole. Let's go ahead and move on.
To put a cherry on top of it, if I had to say where Sami Zayn is probably going to go, and I know it's maybe not the right call for most people, but it's probably playing a role with the bloodline because there's just history there, man. And because there's War Games coming up. And again, I'll talk about some more members that could be involved in this War Games match later on, but at least long-term longevity wise, like that's just where I see Sami Zayn just playing his role. And like you said, he's a utility guy. Like he could be in this position, he could be in that position, but who knows it's very up in the air in regards to Sami Zayn's booking. But the next matchup we have the United States Championship. We have LA Knight, versus Logan Paul, your United States champion. Logan Paul comes out with rapper MGK, who is from Ohio. If you don't know who an MGK is, I don't blame you.
It's better for you.
Tell me how you really feel, Brian.
Yeah.
But freaking, so, and he's from Cleveland, so that's probably why they did it. He's from Cleveland. Again, he's got a few good hit singles if you know who he is, you know, so, but, you know, freaking here or there, I guess. So he comes out, and then LA Knight arrives in Logan Paul's Prime Energy truck, and he's like taking out the windshields with some, I think it was like a bat or something, or no, it was a pipe. It was a steel pipe. Yeah. And he's crashing the windows. Hey, before I take your United States title, here, let me just do this. Bam. Yeah. Freaking. So yeah, that was kind of funny. So, and we jump into this match. Before the bell rings, both of these two were just throwing haymakers at one another. They're brawling outside the ring. There was a suplex through, or didn't go through, but on the announce table. And then finally the bell rings. This match is underway. Logan Paul does a beautiful springboard moonsault from the outside. He overshot it, but I mean, this dude took flight, but he did overshot it. So I can't really praise him that much, but I mean, that did look pretty. It was definitely a big moment in that match, or at least a highlight of that match. Later on in the matchup, you have, I guess you can call them his cronies, right? His freaking entourage. I guess that's what Michael Cole says, as freaking LA Knights taking out all of these people. And then there's MGK, who hands Logan Paul the brass knucks that Logan Paul has been using to win these matches, right? So he uses it on LA Knight. He hits him over the head with it from the ropes. He tries to springboard off the ropes, gets caught in a BFT, goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. And LA Knight is your new United States champion. Brian, the floor is yours, man. Because you love Logan Paul so much, I'm gonna have you start this for this match. Your thoughts about this matchup between LA Knight and Logan, and LA Knight finally getting his moment. Finally, but he got his moment. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, if you've heard the podcast, you know how I feel about him. So I ain't even going to speak about. I really don't give two shits about him. And enough people will talk about his athletic ability, and that's great. But fuck him, MGK too. Really, you know. So I mean, it's just like, what? Why is he here? I don't know. Whatever. But LA Knight,
Cleveland, man. They
I know Cleveland, but I mean, so that's the star you got.
I feel you, bro. No, I feel you. I feel you.
But yeah, whatever. I mean, it's for eyeballs, for entertainment, and whatever. So yeah, whatever. But for LA Knight, man, yeah, I'm just finally glad he's got a moment. You know, he's got a. Not that he necessarily even needed a belt, but it just feels like you're giving him an opportunity, a bigger platform than you have given him over the past year. And it's going to be interesting to see if, you know, they kind of waited too long. I mean, I'm still a huge fan. I'm glad he won for many different reasons. So yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And, you know, as we were talking about the mid-card titles, where, you know, the U.S. title versus the IC, like this is where, you know, I kind of split those two apart, where now that LA Knight does have the U.S. title, can this be important? Can you build a mid-card of, you know, 3, 4, 5 stars, you know, around this, and good feuds? So we'll see about that, but I'm glad he got his moment, man. And I will say too, even at the end, I don't know. I'd love to hear your takes too about it. But so he does get hit with the brass knuckles, and I mean, he really just goes down to a knee. Like, it's not like, so it was kind of like, okay. And then, I mean, I'm not complaining. He won the match, but I don't know. That just, you figured like, if he got hit with the brass knuckles, he's going to kind of get laid out, maybe a false finish or a near fall. But it was like,
unless they did it in a way to where it wasn't like a full blown punch. It was just to kind of just maybe like rake the heel. I know, like with heels they like rake the eyes or something like that, because it wasn't really like a full blown like knockout punch that he usually does. It was kind of more of like a little like a half punch, to where it didn't really stun, I guess, LA Knight that long. I guess that's what they make you want to believe, I guess. Yeah. So.
But LA Knight's your champion, and I'm ecstatic about it, man. So absolutely. Yeah.
Leah, what are your thoughts, LA Knight and Logan Paul?
Well, I'll start with, like, I'm so happy it's just about time. It's Well, a quick question too, while we're at it, and you can come back to this. So the comparison of Braun and when he won his title versus LA and when he got his title, let me know what you both think about that, like just in general with that timeline and time frame. But I'm so happy that he won. He's so entertaining. Anytime he opens his mouth, like he could probably sneeze and we'd be like, yeah, like this is awesome. He's this the whole entrance. Like if you're coming in his prime, Chuck, I would hope you win. Like that was just a great entrance. I love the camera angles, just him talking his stuff on the way to the ring. It was just great, really entertaining. And the match was great. I got so at one point, this is kind of on me, but so I'm not knocking the match, but at one point at the beginning, I didn't even realize the bell didn't ring yet. So the commentators reminded me. I'm
right.
into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is cool. I'm like, oh wow, the match technically didn't start. Okay. But it was a great build up with them. LA is just he's so with Logan, let me start with Logan. With Logan, I don't think he's not for me. I'll just say he's not for me, but LA really helped with that whole feud. If LA wasn't in the feud, I don't know if I would have cared. Like with him and KO, it was cool, it was okay, but just LA just has that extra, just that little touch. So that was really helpful, at least as a viewer for me. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I'm just happy for LA. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah. Well earned. Let me correct you, Leah. Well earned for sure for LA Knight. So yeah, I mean, in regards to LA Knight, I mean, for me to a certain T, you can say a year too late because this dude should have had this title since he first went after it, right?
Or one of them, or the IC title, or whatever. Right, something.
Yeah. At least that the briefcase, right? When he went after the brief, I freaking ranted and raved. People who watch this podcast since day one, I ranted and raved, and I still stand by it. The dude should have won the briefcase because the dude was white hot.
Last year,
last year, right? Absolutely right. And then when he first went after the United States Championship, like, all right, okay, cool. You didn't want to give him the briefcase, fine, whatever. This is the least you could do. It's a consolation prize, yeah, but it's freaking something. And they didn't even want to give him that. And they left him off of Mania. They left him off of Madison Square Garden. They left him off of what was it? A WrestleMania Backlash in Puerto Rico.
It was like 4 or 5 in a row.
Four straight freaking PLEs events that this dude is not even a part of, and he's getting the biggest reaction from any other talent on that roster. It's so freaking weird. And now you want to finally give him this title. I mean, I get it. It's better late than never, right? So I'm very happy for LA Knight, no doubt. He's been sticking with it, and it's definitely been a roller coaster for the dude. And listen, I hear where people like Brian and others are coming from that just can't stand this dude, right? But man, Logan Paul deserves my props, man. This dude, at least the performer, right? Say what you want about the dude as a person. I get it. He's upset a lot of people. He's done a lot of shady things as a business person. There's no doubt about it. But man, this dude does things in that wrestling ring and on the microphone. He cuts better promos and wrestles better than 90% of wrestlers today that have been in this industry for 10 plus years. Seriously, like that's not a crazy wild take if you think about it. And he's picked up this wrestling thing so freaking well. And Leah, like you said, like with him and LA Knight and how they've kind of gelled, the whole segment from SmackDown I thought was really good. The Prime Energy truck I thought was freaking great. At least that one little last entertaining segment you can get to kind of build up this match. That was very simplistic, but it did what it needed to do. So, and yeah, Brian, also going back to what you said about with Knight. Okay, now he's got this title, right? And it's like, okay, now what do you do? Like, now is this the time that you really, now he's got the title, do you finally give him the true rocket and let him soar? Like, give him a story and a feud from the jump. But the question is, who is that person, right? Because you're probably not going to see Logan, I guess, for probably a while.
Till the Rumble, maybe, arguably.
Probably until Rumble, maybe later on this calendar year, probably later this year. So that's the thing. It's just like you've booked this mid-card division so bad. It's like, who is going to be that definitive challenger for LA Knight that's going to kickstart his title reign?
Yeah.
Right? Or is he just going to be underneath the radar? I've spoken about Cody and Roman and how they're on SmackDown. they're going to be big marquee talents on that roster. And then there's just going to be LA Knight. I don't know what that's going to really do for LA Knight now that, of course, well, spoiler alert, Roman Reigns is now freaking back. So I don't know. I truly don't know. But in regards to the moment itself, it was a really good match. Logan did his thing. LA Knight did his thing. The Prime Energy truck thing, the entrance, I thought that was a nice little touch. And LA Knight got his moment. You're too late, but better late than never. So that tally for me goes into the good column. It's honestly a no-brainer there. But yep, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, to your question about, Knight winning the US title and now Breaker winning the IC title, man, it's going to be interesting because, on the one hand, Knight is kind of, really at the pinnacle, the height or near the height of what his career is going to be, given his age, whereas Braun is just starting out. And I think for me, the viewer, at least, I think initially, at least, I'm going to be much more interested in LA Knight and the US title and the stories they're going with that than Braun and the IC title for me. But yeah, it'll be interesting because, they're at two different points in their careers and how they're going to treat. Like, I think this is for Braun. This is just gonna be like a throwaway title reign of down the 5 years from now, whatever. I mean, you might remember, oh yeah, his first IC title win, but it's just going to be one of those things that you don't even really remember,
Yeah. And that's funny you mentioned that. Like, I always go back to, I don't know if you guys remember when Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship. I think that was WrestleMania 32, right? And Zack Ryder at one point in that freaking, Long Island IC shtick was very beloved by wrestling fans, right? He was actually once pretty over. And we were like, and just befuddled, like, when is he going to get his moment? When are they going to give him the rocket? Well, we thought he got the rocket at WrestleMania 32. I'm like, all right, this is going to do it. And then not even like a week later, a couple days later, he freaking loses it instantly. Now, I don't think that's going to happen to LA Knight, but is this moment just going to be like, oh, are we going to look back and be like, oh, this was a great moment, well earned. But once that was all said and done, LA Knight just kind of goes back to that momentum being derailed like he was before he won the title. Right. So that's where I at least my thought process goes into people like Zack Ryder, who definitely grind to get himself over, just like LA Knight has, just for his momentum to get derailed with this title. So
I don't think they're going to do that. I think he's going to have a pretty decent run, but like you said, I just don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's going to lose the title the way Zack Ryder did. At least like within several days, he'll hold on to the title for. At least I fucking hope so. But I definitely think LA Knight will hold on to that title for quite a bit. I actually am confident in that.
Other than maybe the tag titles, I think the titles are staying put up until the Rumble, probably all of them, probably.
Yeah. I think so too. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But listen, congrats to LA Knight. Well earned and well deserved. Yeah. That's right. Talk your shit, LA Knight. That's exactly right. All right. Next matchup. Let's move back over to the ladies. We have Nia Jax, your challenger. Oh, I'm sorry. Queen Nia Jax. Let me get that right. Queen Nia Jax against champion Bayley, your women's champion. I
gotta start this. I gotta start this one. Sorry. I got.
I'll get to you. I'll get to you, Brian. I promise you, I'll get to you. I got a lot to say about this as well.
Right on.
So, look, the match itself, right? I'm not going to go over most of this match because the match was, not great, but it was decent. There was one point in this match, and I want to give praise to Nia Jax because I've given this woman a very hard time for justified reasons. But there was one point in the match where she's like slapping Bayley in the face. She's like, oh yeah, who's clumsy now? Right? Who's whatever, right? And slapping her across the face. I thought that was beautiful. That was the best I've seen Nia Jax look. That was, at least in that point of the match, I thought was really good. At least a memory that for me was really, really solid. But outside of that, there wasn't really a big moment that happened until frickin' Bayley lifted frickin' Nia Jax up on her shoulders and power bombed power bombed her straight through the canvas. That was at least the only, you can argue, big moment that happened in this match until we got Tiffy time. Tiffy runs down the ring with her beautiful new briefcase, by the way. I knew that was going to happen. I'm glad it did. She's got this beautiful new briefcase. She rushes down the ring. She hits the apron. Bayley just clocks her with one right hand, and Tiffany's down and out. And then Nia Jax just annihilates Bayley. She hits the Annihilator twice, does the Yokozuna Annihilator with the arms crossed and everything.
And I think three more times.
I think it was. I think it was twice. Maybe it was three more times. I'm counting twice. I could be wrong. It could have been three, at least 2 or 3. But Nia Jax goes for the cover, and Nia Jax is your new WWE Women's Champion. Brian, I know you're itching to go to say something. I got a lot to say too, but I'll let you start, man. Nia Jax and Bayley, and Nia Jax becoming the new Women's Champion, bro. Floor is yours.
So I'm sort of conflicted. I'm like 60-40 because if you've listened to this, like I'm such a champion of Bayley, man, and this, but also at the same time, I've always been a supporter of Nia, and I'm glad she is getting this moment as well. But man, I just thought, like, I mean, okay, Bayley got the moment with winning the title. But you're not even going to give her like, a title defense at like a SummerSlam or a Mania or a Rumble to where she retains that title.
Mm-hmm.
I just, man, I don't know, man. I mean, I like the match. I do. When Tiffany came out there, I thought too that was a little. I don't know.
I got a lot
quick.
to say.
It was too quick for me. Like it just like she came out there, boom, took one shot, she's down.
I got a lot to say about that, but I agree with that.
And then Bayley just gets destroyed, man. And man, I don't know. Again, like I mean, I'm more aggravated that Bayley didn't get the win, and to kind of take the L like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that's also a great moment for Nia. But the Bayley outweighs it for me, man. I just
I feel
fucking
that.
shit, man. But
no, dude, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Man. Leah, what do you think? Floor is yours. Nia Jax and Bayley. What are your thoughts?
I thought the match was basically kind of how you were putting it. It wasn't a highlight for me. Like I was trailing along with it, but it wasn't a match that I was like, oh my gosh, until she powerbombed her. She didn't just pick her up. This lady walked.
She walked to the middle of the ring, yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. Like, I didn't realize how strong she was. So I thought that really put Bayley in a different light. That's definitely a highlight for me. Outside of Tiffany running out, that's something I'll probably always remember. And I'm not against Nia. I'm not for her either. She's kind of in a way just there. But I am happy that she's getting a second chance to show us what she can do. I do believe in that. I'm sure she's learned a lot from the first time leaving and coming back, and now. So I want to see what she's going to do, what she's learned. But overall, I thought it was a good match. I wasn't too surprised when Tiffany ran out. It didn't really surprise me. I wanted to see like what she would do. I didn't think she would cash in. And shout out to whoever created that briefcase. I love it.
Yeah.
And I draw on the side. So I'm really big on fashion and just things like that. So I was excited to see that briefcase. Probably more to the match at one point.
Yeah, you knew she was going to come out with something good, man. Yeah.
She's something to but I'm interested to see what they do with her and Nia. So, but overall, it was a decent match. Shout out to Bayley. I love her too. But I guess it's time for Nia to walk and show us what she can do. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. How do I put this? Okay, let me start off with the match, right? Listen, the match, look, I'll be honest with you, right? I've been speaking about like a trend in this show, right? To where matches being very memorable. there was really, outside of the power bomb, there's really nothing I can go back and say, wow, this I'm going to remember this match. Just there's nothing. I could have watched this on SmackDown for free and would have not batted an eye. Seriously. It was just not even bad, right? I don't even want to say the match was bad because it really wasn't.
Yeah.
But you can tell by the crowd, until Bayley hit that power bomb, the crowd was mild. Nobody gave really a shit about this match. And listen, much love to Nia. Like, seriously, she has improved tremendously. And what I'm about to say really has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with her winning the championship. It has nothing to do with giving her this title. It has nothing to do with any of that. This is all for Bayley and Bayley's booking alone. You have Tiffany Stratton come down, right? You knew that she was going to be a main focal point of this match, right? Or at least getting involved. And the only creative thing that you had for Bayley to lose this title is for her to just jump on the apron and clock her in the face once, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, not even hitting over the head with the briefcase, not even doing nothing else. And within seconds after that, she just gets obliterated and legit gets squashed. And that's her title reign. Her title reign's been already irrelevant. And within seconds, that's how she ends her title reign? Seriously? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, the thing is with Bayley, and what I'm more frustrated about, Brian, and you won't like what I'm about to say, but I'm telling you, I think you may know where I'm going with this, bro. Charlotte Flair. This woman is going to come back on her white horse, and she's going to try to win, and she's going to try to once again get over and win her 15th fucking world championship against Nia Jax. And that's probably how maybe you'll get Tiffany to cash in, probably just for her to tie her father and get to 16, right? So people are saying, oh, Tiffany and Nia, that's cool. But I'm telling you, bro, don't be shocked if this was all to get this title back onto Charlotte. And that's what, Brian, really fucking aggravates the shit out of me. For you to take this title off of Bayley, right, and to give it to Nia, and much love to Nia, for them to get to Charlotte and Nia in the future, and to get the title back to Charlotte. Like, the fuck, man. But yeah, Brian, go ahead. I know you got some thoughts.
I know. I kind of think, and I see at least in this, with this women's title, I see it a little bit differently in that, or maybe I'm just hoping, but this is all, we've talked a little bit about, like, the past couple title reigns. You can take Rhea's title reign or Bayley's the last 2 years, right? They've been really good builds. And, I don't know. I'm interested to see what you think, Leah, but I think Rhea Ripley's title reign itself, up until this thing with Liv and that, I mean, it was, match here, match there. There was no really great feuds. The same thing with Bayley. But I think they're trying to get this, and this title is going to be on Tiffany Stratton. And I think they're trying to get it there. Hopefully that comes before another Charlotte Flair title run. Because I think they're just really, at this point, they're getting this to... Stratton is going to cash in on Nia at some point, and she's going to become the champion. So I think it's just to get to her becoming the champ. And then having, like, hopefully a long, meaningful title run.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Go ahead, Leah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I wasn't even thinking about Charlotte until you said that, James. Now I can't unsee that.
But she's coming back for sure, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. Oh, my God.
But I do, like you said, Brian, I definitely see Tiffany cashing that in on Nia. I would like to see how that would go. I think it's kind of cute what they're doing with them, but I do want to see that title on Tiffany. She's really entertaining. I love her character. She's doing a good job with that. She's doing a good job with that NXT, and I think she'll be ready whenever the time comes. She'll definitely be ready. I just hope. I was really not thinking about Charlotte. She's been out of my head because all the stuff that's going on in WWE now. She's not somebody I was just focused on So I'm hoping that there is a good length of time between Tiffany getting that title and whenever Charlotte comes back. I do know that Tiffany spoke on Charlotte being a big influence to her, so I would love to see them go against each other, but not yet.
Yeah, no, I feel the same, right?
Yeah, because she's coming back as the face, right? I believe she's going to come back as the face in regards to it, because and the thing is too, and who knows? I mean, because of how Tiffany has gotten a really good reaction as of late, they may go the route to turn her face in regards to this story that they're trying to tell with her and Nia. But I don't know. But again, in regards to Tiffany too, right? And Brian, I've stated this before, her momentum got really derailed for a couple of weeks after that whole incident in regards with that post she made with about Jade Cargill and Bianca. And then she was off TV and everything. So, and the thing is, too, I don't even know if I want to see Tiffany Stratton as a babyface, at least not yet, because there's so much. And I'm glad she didn't cash in last night, because I really want her to hold on to this briefcase and to tell really good stories with this briefcase. She's got like the little strap and everything, like it's a fucking purse. I think it's great. And just like keep doing like really cool stuff. She can do so much with this briefcase as a heel, however long you want to do this shtick with Nia. But I'm just telling you, listen, until go ahead, Brian.
More than anything, coming out of this, like this sets up perfectly for Nia to hold on to this title from now until the Rumble. And you build this, slow build this between her and Nia, and whether Charlotte comes back or not, and shit, you know, you have a match between Nia and Flair at the Rumble, but Tiffany cashes in. That's what Tiffany, if I were to bet on anything, Tiffany is going to win that title at the Rumble.
Yeah.
I
think that's the plan. The plan in the future, I do think that Tiffany will win this championship, but I think it's going to be in spite, because to get the title still back over to Charlotte, just to get her closer to say, I'm telling, but because here's the thing, bro.
You got to give this between Nia and Tiffany, man. Give this them to the ball.
I agree with you, bro. But until they do something that makes me believe otherwise, that's just the narrative that I have, bro. Because we've been doing this for 10 plus years, and they want to, because God forbid she does anything that's outside of a freaking title to get this woman feeling important at all. But I'm telling you, they're going to give Tiffany Stratton that she's going to get that title, and it's going to be great when she does. But it's going to be when Charlotte Flair gets that first. She's going to win that freaking championship, right? And who knows? Plans can change. Who freaking knows? But when it comes to Charlotte, we just know they've been doing it for 10 plus years. Everything that Charlotte Flair does involves the title. And until that narrative change, that's what I'm going to freaking believe. So, and I hope listen, Brian, I hope you're right. I hope it is just between Nia and Tiff, and we don't involve Charlotte in any of this mess. I really freaking do. But that's just where I'm skeptical about it, man. I really, really am. And that's why I'm pissed about Bayley losing this championship. And forget that regardless. This title reign overall has been just irrelevant. And it's, again, of course, no fault to Bayley her own. She wins that title at Mania, and just nothing of importance, nothing really memorable at all. And for her to lose that match as so simplistically, there was nothing creative about it. Tiffany had really no involvement outside of her getting knocked off the apron once. And I'm like, that's the most creative you have if Bayley's going to lose the championship. That's Bayley's title reign. It's done.
Like, that's, as huge as a fan as I am of her, like, I think, Leah, you had alluded to it, the powerbomb. Like, her whole title reign is my memorable moments, the power bomb, and then her getting squashed 5 minutes later. Like, that's right. That's it.
Seriously. Yeah. So look, and this is the same thought process I have from the IC title match. Much love to Nia, right? This has nothing to do with Nia from what I'm about to put this tally in. This has nothing to do with Nia. This has nothing to do with her winning the championship. It has nothing to do with that. This has everything to do with how simplistic and how uncreative how Bayley lost this championship. And for that, that's bad. I'm sorry, but that's bad. It's not ugly. It's not ugly. I can't go that far and say it's ugly. I could give it a freaking ugly if I really wanted to, but it's not going into an ugly. It's at least going to get a bad for me. So yeah, it's just unfortunate for Bayley, but I guess we'll see. I guess rematch galore, I guess, moving forward until Charlotte Flair, I guess, comes back, but who knows? And you keep teasing Tiff and Nia in this split and this cash in, I guess, going forward. So who the hell knows, Ben? But let's get into the good stuff, right? We waste enough time and energy about that. Let's get into the real good stuff here. And that's now Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, your special guest referee, Sethington Rollins. That's right. I'm calling him Sethington Rollins. And my God, Brian, can you tell me what the fuck this guy's wearing to the ring? Like, I can't even blame Becky and her whatever he takes out of Becky Lynch's closet. I really can't, because what in the fuck is this dude wearing to the ring, bro? Listen, I love fashion. I love clothes, but like, that's just a whole nother level of just what the fuck, man. I mean, seriously. So like that, I could have given an ugly just for that outfit alone, seriously. But anyway, thankfully at least he took like the freaking the top off and everything, and he showed the referee. You know, it's like, again, they making comparisons of SummerSlam '97, right, with freaking Undertaker, Brett. I think.
I mean, they did the whole spot, other than McIntyre or Punk not getting hit. Yeah,
exactly. So, so listen, this match was honestly pretty darn good. And honestly, as much as I couldn't stand Seth Rollins being a part of this match, his role surprisingly was just very, very simplistic. He wasn't as big of a distraction in a third wheel as I thought he would be. And he played his role very well. And the same goes for Punk and Drew. Obviously, you knew that they were going to go more of the storytelling aspect of this match. And the main focal point was the bracelet. CM Punk's bracelet, his bracelet that's pretty much $3, you know, to some other person, but not to CM Punk, because it's got his wife, AJ Lee, shout out to AJ Lee, and his dog Larry, right? So that bracelet means a lot to him. It involves his family. And, you know, he's trying to get this bracelet back. The bracelet was once like off the wrist of Drew. He's trying to get the bracelet off of Drew, and I believe he put him in the anaconda vice, and he sees the bracelet, and he's trying to take the bracelet off, and then he ends up getting the bracelet off. He's trying to get to it, and then later on in the match, Seth has the bracelet on, and then and Punk notices the bracelet on his wrist. He's like, dude, that's my bracelet. Like, just give it back to me, bro. Like, what are you doing? And all this emotion, all this freaking controversy ends up costing Punk, as he ends up hitting a GTS to Seth Rollins, knocking out Seth Rollins, at least for the time being. Drew McIntyre takes advantage, hits a Claymore that knocks out from CM Punk, probably for a count 100, if we're being honest. Goes for the cover. Seth is able to get up to make the count for the 1, 2, and 3, and Drew McIntyre wins this match. Punk lost this match and beat himself. His emotions got the best of him, but I loved how this was done. I mean, Punk, the emotion and playing the bracelet into this match and playing the emotion, right? It's not just a wrestling match. It's very personal. And I guess now this ties more into how you get to Punk and Rollins in the future for a future match. But of course, Drew McIntyre winning this match is the right call. Punk loses absolutely nothing from this. CM Punk is still CM Punk. He's still polarizing. People are going to talk about CM Punk. But Drew would have lost a lot of momentum if he would have lost this match. So I'm glad they didn't go the route, Brian, freaking Rollins costing Drew, because I was really scared they were going to do that. And we were going to have to see Seth and Drew again. But thank God they did not do that. Freaking Drew won this match. And you would still think, right? Because even though Drew states that, hey, I'm done with CM Punk, like this is over, there's no way this is over, because freaking Drew ends up getting the bracelet back. After all of that, when he wins the match, freaking Drew gets the bracelet back. So you would think this has to continue. And that's where I get skeptical, because, Brian, I hope to freaking God that before we get to Rollins and Punk, I really hope that we don't do this triple threat. For the love of God, do not do a triple threat with these three individuals. It is not needed. You did well, at least with Rollins, right? And I've even stated before, I'd rather have Seth as a referee, at least if you're going to involve him into this, than be a triple threat. That's at least one thing. But you got to keep these two people or these separate feuds separate. It's that simple. If you're going to continue Punk and Rollins, cool. Keep those two separate. Let those two handle their business. And when the timing's right, you then go to Punk and Rollins. And think about it. You can play this for the course of the rest of the year, right? You can go Punk and Drew and finish out this maybe trilogy or however many matches they have. And then going into 2025, the end of this calendar year, Punk and Rollins, bro. It's that simple. Don't derail it by having a triple threat. And I'm still very skeptical that they may do that. But for this match, and I'm just going to get my tally out the way. And Leah, I'll have you start and give your thoughts after I give this tally. But look, the storytelling in this match, Drew winning was the right call. And even Seth, much love to Seth and his crazy fucking outfits that he wears and all of his weird shenanigans. It all played very well, and a lot more good outweighed the bad. So for that gets a good for me. Drew and CM Punk goes into the good column. Leah, your thoughts in regards to Drew McIntyre?
You did mention a third wheel. From my perspective, those pants he was wearing, I think those pants that Seth had on was definitely the third wheel. I thought he was
oh, yes. Yes.
I'm watching the match. I'm like, look at these pants. They're so shiny and blingy. It's like a disco ball. That part was a bit much for me. But I am happy that he kind of stayed in his lane and didn't take too much attention off of the actual match. I did see that part where he was tying his shoes, and then he had the crowd singing his song, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna do that, that's cool. I kind of expected that, but don't overdo that because we've been waiting for this match for like 6 months.
Yeah, right.
Which I think he did good. He didn't take too much attention off of the two competitors in that match. But overall, it was a good match. I loved it. Great storytelling with the bracelet. It's one of those things where it just goes to show how important that storytelling is. They made a bracelet important. Like you said, it might be like $3 to somebody, but to us, we were like, this is Larry and AJ.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we were really invested in just the bracelet alone. That's how good they are. But I truly enjoyed the match. I thought it was great. CM Punk did really good. I was hoping he came out in one piece again because it was his time back. Yeah. And then in Cleveland, that's so significant, being that's where he walked out. So that was beautiful too. So I'm happy he came in one piece and left in one piece.
Absolutely.
His attire, the pink. That's just a little side note because I love fashion. It was nice seeing that pink come back out. But it was good. They did really good.
Absolutely.
I loved it.
Brian, let's hear it, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I normally don't comment on the attire, but yeah, that it was a throwback to Bret Hart, and I thought it looked freaking fantastic, man. Yeah, it normally I unless it's like a Ric Flair or even a Charlotte with like the big robes, I normally don't pay attention, but immediately that jumped out to me. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But this is another thing where I got kind of like two trains of thought. Like for last night, in the moment, in that match, and the story they were telling, yeah, that was pretty freaking good, man. But I really, really don't like it long term because I think they're going to jump the shark and they're going to do that triple threat, man. And you can already see it where because you guys are right, like Seth called that match 50-50. He called it down the middle until Punk went overboard. He was fair. He wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't for it. He fucked up a couple times, but he did that for both.
Right.
So on the one hand, you have now Drew playing the heel who ultimately gets that bracelet back. And so Punk is playing the face there. And it's almost like you're gonna make Seth the face here and make Punk the heel, and having Seth saying like, look, man, I was fair to you. We were, it was whatever. So that's where I think they're going to get it like convoluted and have that triple threat. And you and I have talked about it where, yeah, I would love so much for this just to be separate and have these two separate feuds. And you're right. It could be a year, 9 months, whatever, man. And both of them would be good.
Absolutely.
But I think when you're trying to mix them here, it's just I wish they wouldn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. So I mean, we'll see, man, and that's just the fear I have, is that they're all just gonna throw. Triple H is gonna throw everybody, all three of those individuals in there, and it's gonna be a big clusterfuck. That's just what I honestly freaking call it. So yeah, I mean, listen, but for this match alone,
it was good,
right?
Yeah.
It was good, and the thing is, and again, Seth. Again, I've spoken my piece about Seth and this and being the referee, especially how he explained the rules. Like, oh, I may count to 3, I may count to 100. Like, the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, it's just the way we've gotten to this point with him being the ref, but the way, again, it was done.
It was better than I thought it would be.
Better than expected.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew the storytelling was going to be there with Punk and Drew. We know that, but we just hoped that Seth wasn't going to be the big third entity that was going to take away the feud and the animosity that was between Drew and Punk. But yeah, we'll see. But yes, Leah, thank God freaking Punk is in one piece, because that's something I know that's been people been talking about with Punk. Not getting injured, and he wasn't injured, so that's also a plus as well. So look, we'll see, man. I mean, look, Punk and Drew, it's been the biggest feud out of this entire company, you can honestly argue,
for this year.
As well. Of course, you got the Judgment Day, like we mentioned, but Punk and Drew, and what Punk has been doing on social media, Punk and Drew, both of them combined on social media, telling their story, taking jabs at one another. It's just been so good, and it feels authentic, and it feels real, like they can't stand one another. And that's what I love about professional wrestlers, when they use social media to their advantage to tell such a good story and to really make us feel like, wow, these dudes really can't stand one another. So I love it. I really do truly love it. And the only person that could fuck this up is Triple H in suits and ties himself. And listen, I'm on eggshells because, they prove me wrong.
Don't do the triple threat. Don't fucking do it.
Please don't fucking do it. My God, please. Give us Seth and Punk, or Rollins and Punk first before you do that.
Right,
you can do that like months down the road. Don't do it now, please. Like, for the love of God, please don't do that. But also Drew, much love to Drew. He had to win this match. That's also the big takeaway too. Drew McIntyre also had to win this match. He got
the bracelet again,
and he got back the bracelet. And and
I think if anything, man, I think AJ's coming at some point, man. She's gonna
show up eventually, bro. I've been saying that to a lot of people, bro. It's like, freaking dude. Shout out to Jesse Ventura. I never thought that somebody like Jesse Ventura would be freaking back at WWE, right? Especially if you guys know his history. For anybody that's listening to this, like, freaking, we talk about never thinking that people like CM Punk would be back in WWE, right? Freaking Jesse Ventura is one of those people. I'm telling you, man, AJ Lee, don't be shocked at some point if you see her. Roxanne Perez, shout out to Roxanne Perez in NXT. She wants AJ Lee back. So I'm telling you, it's sooner rather than later. I think she'll be back for sure. Much love to AJ Lee. All right, y'all, let's dive into the main events. Your main event was your challenger, that is Tribal Chief, Solo Sikoa, versus your champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I have to mention this before the actual matchup, and that was the entrance from Cody Rhodes himself. He starts in his tour bus, and he's walking Pharaoh, his dog Pharaoh, to the ring, or not to the ring, but to Gorilla. Shout out to Pharaoh. As this will be, Cody Rhodes announced that this will be Pharaoh's last WWE television appearance. Man, I freaking love Pharaoh. So much love to Pharaoh, man. If you guys know, of course, from AEW and, of course, his career, he's always brought Pharaoh to all of these big matches and events, and this is his last one. He's getting older. I think he's like 13 years old in dog years. So this was like his final WWE televised appearance. And Arn Anderson was backstage, talking with Cody Rhodes, kind of giving him that pep talk and everything. And then, of course, Cody Rhodes takes to Gorilla and makes his entrance and everything. And then we get into this match. So I thought that was really cool with Arn Anderson and Pharaoh. Again, I just love Pharaoh. I just love that freaking dog. That dog's badass. So, but we jump into this match here, and this is Bloodline rules. So when you think of Bloodline rules, Bloodline
There are
members
no
are gonna.
rules.
There are no pretty much rules, but
Yeah.
you also know that Bloodline members are going to interfere, and that's exactly what happened. You had Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa get involved later on in this matchup, and then you had a returning Kevin Owens jump into the ring. And then you probably knew it was coming. Later on, Randy Orton comes back and he jumps in and kind of evens up the odds. They later on brawl with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa through the ring, so they kind of escort themselves out of the match. Later on, Jacob Fatu. Yep, so you knew right in there Jacob Fatu was going to make his appearance in this match, as he did, taking out Cody Rhodes. He goes for this from the Uso splash from the top of the ring or top of the turnbuckle onto the announce table, through the announce table, and it looked like that Jacob Fatu injured himself, and he actually did. As of right now, Jacob Fatu, his injury is what I'm being heard is not too serious. He is in a walking boot, and Triple H also confirmed that he is a little, I guess, banged up, as he wanted to use the phrase, but you can tell Jacob Fatu, he went to stand up and he immediately fell back down, almost like Vince McMahon, freaking, what was it, Royal Rumble 2005 when he tore his quads, right? It's pretty much the same thing. Like Jacob Fatu, like immediately fell down, and we're like, oh shit, this dude could seriously be hurt. As he was honestly, he wasn't seen after that for the most part. So they pretty much escorted Jacob Fatu out of this match. So hopefully Jacob Fatu is okay. At first I thought it was his knee, but I think it's mostly his foot or his ankle. But I'm sure we'll know more later on once we get further updates from that. So Solo Sikoa's back in the ring with Cody Rhodes. Both members are pretty much laid out. Roman Reigns, his music hits. A returning Roman Reigns hits the ring with authority. He goes into the ring, hits that Superman punch to Solo, spears Solo into next week. He gives Cody Rhodes a little bit of a look and then kind of like walks off or whatever. As he walks up the rampway, Cody Rhodes then picks up the W, and Cody Rhodes retains his championship with Roman Reigns at the rampway. Freaking Solo and Jacob Fatu were throwing like a hissy fit like two little toddlers on the outside. And that is your show, with a returning Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes retaining his championship. Leah, what are your thoughts? I'll start off with you. Cody Rhodes retaining his title and Roman Reigns returning to WWE.
Yes, I do want to start with that entrance. I love how they depict Cody. It makes him more relatable, I feel like, especially as a face, just showing him, letting us in, I guess, to his home, his family, the dog, all of that. Just I did hear during his walkway to the entrance, there was family there. I think the commentators were speaking on that. So I just love how they book him as a face, and that he's even letting us do that too, because he has to say yes, I'm sure, to some degree, to some of those ideas. So that's really cool to see always.
Right.
For me, I really enjoyed the match. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because everyone that returned, I kind of expected. But just when I hear like Tonga Loa, like when he rammed Cody into the ropes instead of the turn,
he botched the
we keep hitting the reset button, and it's like we're running out of questions here. But I don't know. I think Cody does the best he can always. He's very entertaining on the mic in a way. I won't speak on that, but I just love watching him in the ring. He's very natural, and he helps whoever he's in the ring with. He definitely helps elevate. There's, in my head, no face without a heel, and he helps as a face definitely help to elevate that heel. I know Solo is taking on a big role, even coming at Roman, and he's hasn't been around forever either, Solo. So it's nice to see what they're doing with him, and I think he's doing an okay job at taking on that role. But it's just like you have Solo, then you have like Roman. They're just two different people, and they have two different auras, if you ask me too, with what they project. So overall, though, before everyone else got involved, I thought they did good. Cody and Solo alone, they did pretty good. Then you have KO, Randy combating the other two. That was pretty nice. And then we have Jacob, and I'm like, who's going to come out with him? I kind of suspected Roman, like everybody else pretty much did. It was just cool to actually see him come out. That was really nice. And I do want to commend Jacob for that transition of him getting injured and still yelling from the floor, that emotion, like telling Solo to get back in the ring. I was kind of like, oh my goodness, like, is he really injured? And he's like, get in the ring, like, go. He still was doing his part. So I felt like that in a way played to overshadowing Solo? I know that's been talk. Like, do you think Jacob would overshadow Solo? Even him telling him like get in the ring. I like that on how that made Jacob look, but I did think that kind of took away from Solo's intensity of him being at the same level in a way of Roman. But overall, it was a pretty good match. Pretty good.
Very nice. Ryan, let's hear it, bro. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of pick up on something you were just saying there, because I love the match, and of course we knew there was going to be interference. Really, I'm ecstatic that Roman's back, and now we can really tell this bloodline story. But man, like, my biggest takeaway is the ending was unfortunate, because I gotta believe there's something was planned to go down between Jacob Fatu and Roman.
And Roman, right.
There's no way that, because that's immediately what I thought. I was like, man, like, Roman's coming out here, and it's a long time where they're not showing Fatu, and I'm like, so yeah, man, I think they had to call like somewhat of an audible, and that was not the original finish. And so, I mean, it was good, for what they had to do. Kind of like you were saying, where like Solo, I feel now, is like, really, I mean, he took a Superman punch and a spear, and granted, he had went through the match, but like, that was pretty quick and easy, you're done. So that's why I got to believe there was something planned with him and Fatu that we just didn't get to see, man. But other than that, look, I'm so ready for this bloodline story to kick into high gear. So I really hope it's nothing serious with Jacob, because he's going to be a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, other than and Cody, like we have talked about it before, like, again, there's like the Cody and the KOs and the Sami Zayns, that you can throw in here and there with the bloodline. But man, you gotta start heading in the direction of Randy Orton and Cody here, and get him away from the bloodline. But that look that Roman gave him was interesting. What does it mean? I mean, that's still something that is going to have to be addressed. So I don't know, man. I liked it, but man, I just know there was something more, and we didn't get to see it.
Yeah. No, it is unfortunate. Yeah, because I'm sure people are going to try to maybe be hopeful and say like, oh, he's selling the injury, but like, there's no way they were going to have Roman Reigns return and not have him face Jacob Fatu in that moment. There's absolutely no way. So yeah, that is the unfortunate, definitely situation in regards to this entire, at least for Roman Reigns' return, at least that whole spiel, which we knew he was going to return. We had sneaky suspicion that he was going to return. And dude, the pop that he got, man, I mean, he's in this baby face shtick. He's going to be running with it. And it sucks for Cody, because now he's the second top baby face of the company. I mean, let's be honest. Seriously. That's the thing about War Games, right? Is because I really hope that Cody Rhodes does not stick around with this whole bloodline story, because there's nothing else really that needs to transpire with Cody and the bloodline at this point, right? He's beaten Roman, right? He's taken that title. He's quote unquote finished his story. He's already beaten Solo, this fake ass tribal chief, right? And now let Roman Reigns, he's come back. He's got a score to settle. Let him do his thing, Ben. But I'm telling you, right? We talk about War Games. You're most likely will probably see Cody and Roman side by side in War Games.
I gotta think they're bringing some more bloodline members up, because I mean, I see what you're saying, but it shouldn't be Cody.
I agree. I agree with you, but the thing is, and I hope that that's not the case, but I'm telling you, the way that Roman and Cody interacted, they're probably going to tease a lot more stuff between those two now that I'm just telling you, man, because I'm telling you, and that's just when it comes to Triple H booking, bro, that's just the first process that I go to. Shit just not making sense. And that's Cody Rhodes still being involved with the bloodlines. But because I absolutely agree with you. Zilla Fatu, shout out to him, was actually live in attendance for the show. Yeah. So, he's mentioned like, hey, if Triple H, I'll be in WWE whenever Triple H gives me the call or whatever. And who knows, does he get involved in this? Does he not? Has he already been in discussions for a contract? So yeah, the one thing I will say about this bloodline story is that the one thing, and that's the thing too about people like Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga, right? And I think that's why we appreciate people like Jacob Fatu. And, Leah, you said it earlier, like there's this kind of this aura about Jacob Fatu. It's to where he stands out above the rest, to where the rest of these people, they're Samoan. And they're related to people like Roman Reigns and The Rock and all these other people in the family tree, right? And that's just like, you want the individualization to be a little bit more than just being Samoan, right? And that's why it's just like, oh, here comes another Samoan member. Here comes another bloodline member, and then another bloodline member, and another bloodline member. And it's just like, it gets so overpowering to where, everybody is kind of just doesn't really stand out outside of Jacob Fatu. At least he somewhat stands out because of what he brings to the table. No pun intended. So that's the one issue that I do have, is that they don't ram this kind of into the dirt with, another bloodline member's been added, and then just constantly
turn it into the NWO.
Right. Just
of the bloodline.
It's just constantly adding people. And so where it gets kind of redundant. But I do agree with you again in regards to Cody that he should not be involved in this. But I have a really just a sneaky suspicion that he's probably going to, because of the look that he gave to Roman and the exchange that they had, the moment that they had. There's still more story to be, at least from what they're telling us, to be told with Roman and Cody. You're probably going to see some promos between those two at some point. You may see a tag match between the two. And Brian, I said this to you like weeks ago. I really hope that with Cody, like, again, of course, not just being a part of the bloodline, and I mentioned this about Monday Night Raw, you have Cody and Roman now as baby faces. Moving forward, what is that doing for Monday Night Raw? Right. As good as Monday Night Raw is, that they have a decent show with the Judgment Day. What true top babyface? I guess that's going to be Damian Priest now, or Seth Rollins. I guess maybe Seth, a CM Punk. I guess
that he's back. Yeah.
But man, but Cody and Roman on the same brand as babyfaces, it just doesn't make sense. Again, but that's a different story. But Brian, like you said, kind of outside of Jacob Fatu's injury, and it definitely is very unfortunate, but even though I saw this kind of coming to where, here comes Kevin Owens, you're going to get Randy Orton. And then shortly after, here comes Jacob Fatu. At least it was done very well.
Yeah.
It was done very well. It was simple, but it was also very effective. Roman Reigns coming out was still a really cool moment. Again, it's so good to see the dude back. Again, whether you love the dude or whether you hate the dude. And again, you hear the pop from the crowd. It's just like, and it's so good to hear that, because you remember this dude as a babyface, right? 8 to 10 years ago, and how much he's gotten shit on, right? And for justified reasons. I mean, the dude just wasn't himself, and he wasn't gelling at all. And he got exposed a lot. People like from John Cena to many other people. After he beat The Undertaker, this dude was legit freaking booed out of the building, saying F you Roman and everything. And now within 2 years, 2 to 3 years, however long now, being in this new character, and now getting that reaction as this new face, the OTC, I'm guessing that means original tribal chief. It's really good.
One
to
tribal
see,
chief or something like
one
that.
tribal chief, the only tribal chief, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's just really cool to see that, because much love to the person, Joanna Y, the guy that's
the
had
guy
to battle
who's beat leukemia twice.
Beat leukemia twice. Exactly what I was just going to mention. The person itself, it's so good to see that, for a guy that's battled real life situations, that has overcome this adversity in his craft, and to now see this dude as a full-fledged face, and not just a face, but actually the crowd behind him is really cool to see. It really truly is. And as unfortunate the Jacob Fatu thing was, again, the match was pretty darn good. I wish that Solo, and you mentioned Leah real quick. I know you talked about, Jacob Fatu overshadowing Solo, and I've mentioned Solo's booking as of late. This dude again was 0-40 going into this tribal chief stick or this shtick, right? And it's just like, okay, you're gonna make him the fall guy for every single match, and then the snap of a finger, okay, he's the leader of a faction. The fuck are you? What the hell? So I think that's why a lot of people make that reference or comparison, because it's just like, okay, this is the same dude that lost to Cody twice the last 2 years going into Mania, and now he's the leader of the faction. He hasn't been booked properly at all since the Cena match at Crown Jewel, and now you're telling me he's going to take the title from Cody? Really? Seriously?
Well, let me ask, both of you, like, because if you remember when he was first introduced, man, like, he was the muscle of the bloodline. The first few months, like, he was an intimidating dude. The Cena match, like, you just wonder, like, what the fuck, how do you go from that guy who was an enforcer, and quick shout out to Arn Anderson, AA, by the way. But who was the enforcer for Roman Reigns and very believable, and what he did to John Cena, and then to go, like you said, the 0-40, and then throw him in a tribal chief role.
Right. Yeah. It's really stupid. It's just so freaking weird. But let me reveal my final tallies, man. So I'm not going to say this was great. If the whole Jacob Fatu injury thing didn't happen, I probably would have given this a great, because the moment that maybe Roman and Jacob Fatu would have had in this match, as well, going back to Arn Anderson and Pharaoh. I'm sorry, just little things like that are just making an entrance really feel as such. And again, memorable. It's been the key phrase I've made this entire show, and I'm going to stick to it. It was memorable. It was fun. It was intriguing. And we got what we expected, and what we all, I guess you could say, pretty much wanted up until this point, to get this bloodline story into high gear. And that is your tribal chief returning, the real tribal chief, the only tribal chief, which is Roman Reigns. So I'm going to reveal my final tally. Overall, this pay-per-view, from 5 to 2, 5 in the good, 2 in the bad, this was a very good show. Very, very good show. That's as fair and as honest I can be in regards to it. Now, I'll kind of end with this and we'll wrap things up, right? Listen, for those who listen to this, right, whether you agree with my tallies, whether you agree whether this show was good, whether it was great, whether it was horrible, whether it was bad, whatever your personal preference is, right, you cannot deny this. And this is not many times that WWE does this with PLEs. This was a very memorable pay-per-view. A lot of big title changes, turns, and a returning Roman Reigns. Come on, bro. This was, I mean, I don't know what else you could possibly ask for in regards to, some things we expected, right? We expected the Dom turn. We expected Finn to pretty much turn, but it was the moments in the match. It was how people played their part. And again, the memories and the moments that you're not going to forget for a very long time. And that's what makes pay-per-views so special, to be like, wow, I got to go back and maybe watch this because of how freaking good it was. So I hope people take that into consideration, right? Even though you may have liked it or not, doesn't matter. SummerSlam 2024 was a very memorable show. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So, Brian, Leah, any final thoughts? I'll start with you, Brian, in regards final thoughts about this show.
Yeah, this is a show, and we've, all of us have alluded to it throughout this show, man. Like, yeah, this is one show I'm going to go back and watch multiple times. Like, really, I mean, the rest of the matches themselves, they were all good. There was nothing bad. The storytelling, every single match had moments. Every single match had really good storytelling. It
felt important.
Yep, important. It was fun. This was, like, seriously, like, I mean, I at least so far this year, I mean, for me personally, and yeah, you can be prisoners of the moment or whatever, but this trumps Mania. It's better than the Rumble. There was so much in this show that was really, James, you and I talk about it all the time. Like, yes, I love wrestling. I love watching a good wrestling match, but you gotta tell a good story. and from top to bottom, start to finish, they really did a really good job last night. Yeah,
absolutely. Leah, your final thoughts, overall thoughts about this PLE?
I completely agree. It's storytelling is everything. It's the meat, the potatoes, it's everything in the business. So I think they did a really good job of the storytelling overall. The highlights. When there were those highlights, they were true highlights, and the lows were low, but the highlights overshadowed the lows. And so I know sometimes things aren't going to be perfect. I think they did a really good job overall. So thumbs up to me.
Very nice. Very nice. That is going to do it, everybody, for this SummerSlam review, the good, the bad, and the ugly review. Leah, I want to thank you once again for joining us for this review show. It has been great having you on. Once again, you can check out Leah and her wrestling content, all of her stuff, her social medias will be in the description box down below for you guys to give her a follow and to go check her out. And of course, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_talk. We finally got over 1,200 followers on Instagram. So thank you guys so much. Little by little, bro. Little by little. Thank you to everybody who has hit that follow button, who has followed all of our content and has joined our community. Can't thank you guys enough. And of course, you could check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are watching this on YouTube. We got a lot of stuff more to cover. We got the Fallout coming up for Monday Night Raw. We got SmackDown as well coming up after with Roman Reigns, and who knows what they got in store there. And then, of course, we got some AEW to talk about at some point in the near future. We got AEW All In coming up. We will talk about that at some point. So a lot more content, a lot more pro wrestling content to be made. So, Brian, I'll start with you. Final thoughts before we end this show.
Well, Leah, I just want to give a shout out to you again. Thanks for joining us, being part of this. It was a pleasure having you on. Really, really glad you were able to be a part of it. And yeah, as far as the show, man, it was really such a great show. And this Monday Night Raw and SmackDown this week, I'll be Monday and Friday, man.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what happens here in both, with the Judgment Day and of course the Bloodline.
Absolutely. Leah, final thoughts before we end things.
Thank you again, both of you two, for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful experience. I really, truly enjoyed it. So thanks again. And I agree with you, Brian. I know what I'm doing Monday and Friday. I'm just saying, my schedule's already made. So
right.
Absolutely.
Great show overall. Great.
Absolutely. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And alongside Leah, we are signing off saying salute.
Peace out.
And take everybody to
Let's start a riot. Riot. Let's start a riot.